Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we transform a summer container into a fall container. So let's go. It is the end of September, fall is in the air here in New England, and it's time for me to start switching over some of my container pots. Where I live here in New Hampshire Zone 5B, I don't like to spend a lot of money when it comes to making container pots for fall. The reason is, as soon as a frost or a freeze hits these container pots, most of the plants in here will not survive. My goal is to pack this container pot full of perennials, and what I'll be doing is overwintering this container pot in the garage that's right behind me. It's an unheated garage that usually stays above freezing during the winter months. And then next spring, what I'll do is come back to this container pot, pull it out of my garage, and I'll start placing all the perennials that are in here out in the landscape. It's always hard to take apart a container pot when it's still looking very pretty. However, we will be keeping most of the things that you see in here in this container pot as we put together our fall arrangement. The main thing that we'll be removing will be an annual that would die anyway if a freeze hit it. In the center of the container pot is our thriller. It's blue mohawk grass. It's a type of Juncus. We will be keeping that in our container pot. The pink flowers that you see, those are the annuals that we will be removing. They are a type of Pelargonium or zonal geranium. In fact, we overwintered these bare root last year, so we'll be doing the same thing. When we pull them out, I'll be getting them ready so that they can be overwintered bare root. The beautiful silver colored foliage that you see, this is Dusty Miller. It's considered an annual where I live. Occasionally it does overwinter for me because it's hardy down to USDA zone 7 and I'm zone 5B. However, I've had great success overwintering it in my garage. So we will be keeping that plant in the container pot. We have two spillers that are in this pot that are perennial to me. Let's talk about this first one with the beautiful pink flowers. This is a type of Lamium. It's also known as a dead nettle. We will be keeping that in the container pot. And another perennial that we will also be keeping in this container pot is the beautiful creeping jenny or Lismachia. And both of those plants combined make beautiful spillers in any container pot or flower pot. I'm just going to use a small hand shovel to remove the geranium plant that's in here. I'm almost sure I have two plants tucked into this container pot. There are so many different ways you can overwinter your geraniums. I prefer to overwinter them bare root, but I also have lots of videos showing you other ways you can overwinter your geraniums and then how to wake them up if you are overwintering them bare root. I'll put links to those videos down in the description below. To prepare my geranium for overwintering bare root, I'm just removing all of the spent blooms or the blooms that are on this plant. And if I want to, I can take these and just put them into a vase so I can enjoy them. This plant will end up going dormant for me. So I want to just remove anything I can right now to help it. That includes flower buds, leaves that don't look good. And then after I've done this, the next thing I'll end up doing is I'll just check over the stem of the plant. And if there are any stems on the plant that are soft or mushy, they look diseased, I want to go ahead and remove those as well. Look how huge this plant is. It's just one plant. And when I woke it up from being bare root in the late winter months, it was a much smaller plant. That's one of the beauties of overwintering a plant like a geranium, is that every year the plant will get larger and larger. And then you can even take cuttings off of it and propagate the plant very easily. I'm going to leave this for about 1 or 2 days, and then I'm going to go ahead and store it. Again, I have videos showing how I store it, but I like to store a large plant like this in a cardboard box. Now that we've removed that one geranium from one side of the pot, I'll do the same process with the second geranium. It's crazy to think that you can overwinter zonal geraniums bare root and then bring them back to life and have them bigger and better than ever. Just wait until next year, friends, and I'll show you how much bigger these will be. But they are ready to go to sleep for the season. I turned the container pot around so that I have the Dusty Miller on this side. It was actually quite large. It's funny, it was the smallest sprig of a plant when we first planted it. In fact, I'm going to throw up on the screen what this planter looked like when we first planted it in the early spring months. And it really filled in so beautifully. I don't have a ton of real estate to work with in here, but let's go ahead. We're going to actually take apart a pot so we can go shopping for some plants within that pot. In this wheelbarrow is a planter. This is my sister-in-law Jen's planter, and I basically want to take it apart. I want to see what is packed inside of here. There are a lot of goodies, and we're just going to go over what's in here and what my plans are for each of these plants. But this is where we're going to go shopping today. This is a type of coral bell or Heuchera, and it's definitely a perennial here where we live. You can see it has a beautiful dark color, almost dark black to purple colored leaf. And if you lift it over, look at how beautiful that is. It's like a mauvish pink, almost purple color. Jen and I both have this perennial all around our landscape. We got this plant from Jen's mom's house, which was my late mother-in-law. And we've been able to divide and move it around our landscape as well as in container pots many times over the last few years. Before we plant it, I might as well spend the time, and I'll just clean off the bottom of the plant. I'll remove any leaves that look crispy, that look dead, and I'll just work my way around. Coral bells or Heuchera are a wonderful plant to add to a fall container pot. So if you have any coral bells in your landscape, shop your yard and dig out a small piece, put it in a container pot. It's such a cheap, easy way to make a really pretty fall arrangement in a pot, container, window box, hanging basket. I'm just looking at it from the top down, and I'm noticing one more leaf I can cut off. Also, I'm looking at the bottom here. There are quite a few roots on both sides here. I can go ahead and actually remove this piece right here. It'll just make it easier for me to plant this in that container pot. I'm thinking it's probably going to go on this side. So for right now, I'm just going to tuck it there. I don't want to get it planted quite yet because I want to wait until the end after I've placed all my plant material, and then we can plant them in here. In case you're wondering what else is in this planter of goodies, we have bugleweed or Ajuga. Look at the color of the leaves. That's another beautiful plant that you could take from your landscape and put it in a container pot if you like. Or you can buy it from a garden center, put it in your fall container pot, and then plant this out in your landscape afterwards. It is a ground cover. It can be a little aggressive, so just know that. In the center here, Jen has a calla lily. I will be digging that up for her, and then I can store it for the winter months, and then she can have that back and plant it out again for next year. And I do have videos showing how to overwinter calla lilies. I'll put that down in the description below. We have another one of this beautiful Heuchera, and actually I think we're going to dig this one up as well. I'd like to have this on the other side of our container pot. And in case you're wondering what this beautiful white colored flower is, this is called Diamond Frost Euphorbia. And I am planning on overwintering this to see if I can successfully overwinter it in my garage. I've never tried it before, so that will be an experiment. And I'll show that in a separate video. If you had something like a hoary knife, you could use that right now, come right in and dig out your plant so that you can break through the roots easily. I have a folding pruning saw. I'm going to try to use that just to make it easier to cut through the roots. In fact, I love using a tool like this when it comes to dividing perennials out in my landscape. Many of you have asked me to link this in my Amazon storefront, so I've gone ahead and done that. I'll put a link to it down below. It just makes it easier for me to pull out this plant rather than fighting with the roots. Well, that was nice and easy. I'm just removing the soil because I want to be able to plant this as easy as possible in our container pot. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to remove a couple of the crispy looking leaves or leaves that look dead. And I'm also going to remove this piece right here because it's really not necessary. We have plenty of root material at the base of the plant. We'll place this guy right on this side here. I get it. I totally get it. Some people just do not like mums or chrysanthemums. You see them everywhere in the fall time in the garden centers. But I just had to bring you in this one garden space on the south side of my house to show you these beautiful mums that I have. They are perennials where I live. In fact, where you live, most likely mums are perennial as well. And I love adding to my collection of mums every single year. These ones have been in the landscape, I think probably 3 or 4 years now, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I have a lot of videos that show you my process, different ways of overwintering mums. If you've never tried to overwinter a mum, I don't know what you're waiting for. I really think you should give it a try because look how pretty it is out in the landscape. Here are some white mums that we overwintered last year. I showed you in a video how I took some mums that I bought very cheap from Walmart and we placed them in the landscape. I believe these are going to be a white color mum, which I'm super excited about because I don't have white mums anywhere else in my landscape. Up along my walkway are some more mums that I got for free from a friend of mine. I overwintered them in my garage. I have one bunch right there. We planted these here probably, I would say, late spring, early summer of this year. And here's another really pretty one. You can see it's just starting to show a little bit of color, like a dark red maroon color. And then here we are in my front yard. These are just budded up. But I wanted to show you, look how pretty these yellow mums are going to be once they start blooming. And I have them paired with some purple aster out here in the landscape. So yes, I love mums, and the mums that we're going to plant today are also a very pretty yellow colored mum. So this is what the mums look like. They are already very much opened. When I went to Walmart yesterday, that's all they had. And honestly, we're not planting these today necessarily to enjoy their blooms for right now. I'm being selfish. I'm buying these plants so that I can overwinter them in my garage. And then we're going to plant these out in the landscape in the springtime because mums take a long time for their roots to establish. And for me, where I live, it's too late now to plant these in the landscape to ensure that they overwinter. So let's talk a little bit about the tag here. It's a yellow garden mum. When you buy your mums, you want them to say garden mum, or they may say hardy mum. They may possibly say Belgium mum. There are a lot of things you're looking for. And don't let the fact that it says annuals deter you. That is not true. A lot of times the garden mums are perennials. They just say that because a lot of people treat them as an annual. And notice right here, it's telling us that these mums were grown down in Connecticut. Connecticut is really not that far from where I live. So if they're hardy down in Connecticut, they're most likely hardy here in New Hampshire. It would have been nice if these were budded up so I could enjoy them even longer. But remember, we're planting these today not only to enjoy them for a number of weeks, we're also planting these so we can overwinter them in the garage and have them come back next year, and we'll treat them as a perennial thereafter. I'm especially loving the way that the dark foliage on the Heuchera complements nicely with the silver foliage of the Dusty Miller. I think both of them together are very nice, but then we have this nice pop of yellow in the center here. I wasn't going to put together a fall container because, again, for me, it's kind of a waste of money. But we're doing this project on a very low budget. We spent less than $2 to complete this project. And I really did want to buy a few more mums to overwinter in my garage so that I could plant them in my landscape next year. But I was already too late with getting them put in my landscape. I should have done it probably a month or a month and a half ago. So to get around that issue, I figured I might as well put together a container pot, and then I can overwinter this over the garage, take the mum out, and I have a free mum I can put in my landscape for next year. I'm not adding any fertilizer. The plants in here don't need any fertilizer. The main thing is to make sure that I'm watering this frequently because I don't want it to dry out. And with this container pot, who knows, maybe next spring, after I take the mums out, I can always reuse any of the other plants that are in here, and then I could possibly even add my geraniums back in. I'll be making a lot of videos this winter showing you all the plants that I'm going to be overwintering in my garage. I'll also give you update videos when it comes time to check on plants and watering the plants. Some questions that I've been asked in the past is, do I provide any sort of grow lights to plants that I'm overwintering in the garage? I never have in the past. I may this year for certain plants, but I usually don't add any grow lights. And I also don't have many windows. So the plants aren't really getting a lot of light. In fact, the plants are dormant. And that's really important to understand what that means when we say a plant is dormant. That means that we are not giving the plants much water. However, we're also not letting the plants fully dry out. If they fully dry out, they're going to die. If they get too much water, they're going to rot. So I literally just check on the plants once a month, and I give them the slightest amount of water if they need the water. And I've had a lot of success overwintering plants that are marginally hardy all the way down to tropical. And this fall container pot is done. We only spent $1.44. We reused a lot of the material that was already in here. And I'm just so thrilled with how this came out. So when it comes to your fall container pots, be creative. Look around your garden and see what you can use. I'm so happy, I'm so thrilled with how this is looking, and I'm also looking forward to overwintering all of these plants having them returned for me next year so I can recycle and reuse again. I hope my fall container pot inspired you in some way or the other, and I want to hear from you. What are some plants that you're putting in your fall container pots? Let me know the recipes, the thrillers, the spillers, the fillers, and also what are your plans for those plants? Are you going to overwinter any of them? And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.